はい、それでは本日はですね、ポーツマス大学の、建築学コースについてという、ウェビナーにご参加いただきましてありがとうございます。はい、本日はですね、タイトルにもある通り、ポーツマス大学の建築学のコースについてですね、先生にお越しいただいております。ミレナ先生ですね。はい、で、本日はですね、プレゼンテーションを最初にしていただきまして、ご質問等ありましたら、後ほどチャットボックスの方とかに質問を入れていただいたら、私の方で読み上げて、ご質問に回答させていただくという形にしていきたいと思いますので、お願いいたします。あと、YouTube の方で同時配信となりますので、ちょっと発言等はですね、できなくって、あとカメラもちょっとオンにすることはできないんですけれども、ご質問がある場合はチャットボックスに入れていただけたらと思います。はい。それではですね、ウェビナーを始めていきたいと思います。はい、So could you start your presentation? Thank you.
Yes, yes. Okay, I will share my screen. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, I can see the screen.
Yes. Okay. では、皆さん、こんばんは。私は、ちょっと久しぶりに日本語を話したことないけど、すみません。今日の話は、最初は、ポーツムツという町について、大学について、建築について、少し日本語でお話ししますけど、その後は、英語で、授業、講義みたいな話をします。じゃあ、まずはポーツムツという町、非常にいい規模の町、あまり大きくないし、海に面してるし、どこでも自転車か歩いていける。大学の生活非常に豊かでと思います。ちょっと待ってください。ポルトム大学の建築教育は結構いい人気にある。イギリスの大学の建築のプログラムについてとてもいいレピュテーション。教育として理論と実現のことを一緒にいいミックスになってます。だから講義を聞こえるし、実現的なプラクティカルなプロジェクトもできます。ポーツムツはどこにある？これはイギリスの地図。ロンドンから1時間ちょっとの距離で、ロンドン簡単に行けるし、あと海に面してるから、フェリーでフランスかスペインかヨーロッパでいろいろなところ簡単に行けます。これは上から見た 大学のキャンパスは町の真ん中にあると、大体ポーツムートは非常に低い町であるけど、高い建物を見たら大体学生寮になってます。学生は3万人、20% は留学生で、非常に若い人の町であって、いろいろな学生についてのレストランとか夜のパブ、ディスコ、いろいろな面白いところはいっぱいあります。1869年からの大学で、建築の学校はだいたい1200ぐらいの学生あります。日本に比べたら、私は日本の大学で教えた。日本もイギリスも学生のサポートたくさんあります。とイギリスに来たらそれぞれの留学生はパーソナルテューター、一人教員はこの学生の面倒を見てます。大学の問題あったら、生活の問題あったら教員が手伝いします。あと大学のサポート、お金について、健康について、精神的な問題についてたくさんサポートがあります。仕事、勉強の時にパートタイムジョブ、仕事もできます。あとフランス語、スペイン語、ドイツ語も勉強ができる。教育終わったら仕事の可能性もいくつか大学の相談があります。勉強以外にたくさんクラブがあります。日本と同じように音楽、スポーツ、何でも興味あったらクラブが参加できます。近くに、ポーツモットの近くに1時間半ぐらいにストーンヘンジとか有名な日本の町か文化財が簡単に行けます。あとスポーツについてたくさん可能性があります。寮、大体新しい建物、高い建物を見たら大学寮になってます。ロンドンとマンチェスター、他の大きな町に比べたら、ポーツモットの生活結構安い。だから学生は豊かに勉強と楽しむことができます。その次は、これは大体ポーツモットについて、もし質問あったら、最後の15分ぐらい答えができます。2番目の部分は英語でなりますので、もし何かわからなかったら、このストリーミングでもう一回聞いたらわかると思います。私はちょっと簡単な英語を使いたいと思います。スクリーンは見えますか？ Can you see my screen now?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Let me share.
Yes, I can see the screen.
Okay, just to make it. Okay, so the second part, I would like to tell you about something I teach at the university, and it's related to heritage, architectural heritage, historic buildings, historic landscape, historic townscape, and why I'm trying to involve students to teach about heritage preservation, to involve students in practical projects, to learn about traditional skills, about traditional materials in architecture, and how to learn from the past and how to build the future with using knowledge from the past. So this is a Bulgarian village in the mountains. It's a traditional Bulgarian architecture has a lot of similarities with Japanese traditional architecture, you will see, and also traditional housing in not only in Japan and Bulgaria, but also UK, other countries are using the same natural materials, stone. Actually, Japan is not using stone, but clay, paper, wood, tiles. This is materials which the people use for thousands of years. So first, this is the plan of the lecture. I will talk a little bit about the atmosphere, the ambience of the heritage places in Bulgaria. This is about Bulgaria. Then the present reality, and how I got inspired by some ideas from Japan, and how I integrated this approach into practical workshops with students. For 7 years, I did some workshops in Bulgarian villages, and students were involved in restoration, in designing, building, and finally we had an exhibition about our work in the National Gallery in Sofia, in Bulgaria, the Sofia Museum of Contemporary Art. So first, just to give you an idea about the townscape, the landscape, single houses on slope terrain with wooden houses with tile roofs. This is one of the typical wooden house in Zerabna. And when you use wood, the techniques which people developed are quite similar. So I was always interested in this similarity between Japanese traditional house and Bulgarian traditional house. Since 1990s, this traditional way of building started to be very valued by contemporary architects. Before 1990s, there were many contemporary architects who thought this is not interesting, this is old-fashioned, but because we are starting to think seriously about sustainable development, about energy efficient architecture, we try to decrease the ecological footprint of the buildings. So how to build a house with the natural materials available on site become again very important. And we have lost quite a lot of skills about this nature of a building because people, modernization, industrialization, a lot of people thought this is a backwards style. We have to embrace concrete, metal, and so on. But there is a process of reevaluation of the work with natural materials, and there is the belief now that if we care about our planet, if we care about the future, we have to reconsider these traditions. It's a pity, but in Bulgaria, the beautiful traditional villages are in decay. Depopulation, very similar to Japan as well. Depopulation brings young people to the big cities, and the traditional culture, traditional architecture is lost. So there are many abandoned houses in the village. We work with students, a lot of abandoned houses. Once the flourishing village become a city for where old people live, the family come in only in the summer. However, these places has a huge potential. They enable a much better lifestyle and a much healthier, and to find the identity of the place. It's important to preserve the culture. So hopefully these places will become drivers of economic activities again. And I have studied in Japan with Professor Mitsuhashi from Kyoto Prefectural University, and he was doing some project in Tango village, the Tango Peninsula, north of Kyoto, and he was going with students there to research and to try to revive some traditional culture. This is the type of endogenous regional development which pay attention to the local specifics and to the local skills, crafts, and culture. The idea about eco-museum, the whole area, not to close something in a museum box, but to leave the area as an open area museum where people come to see a different lifestyle. This became popular in France in 1971, and then it's spreading in many areas. I learned in Japan about subsistence, which come from the Japanese rural lifestyle, and it's related to Shinto ritual purity, how to be moderate, how to be considerate. It's an antithesis of the consumerist lifestyle, which brought up, which was the result of industrialization and modernization. But we need to go back to think what really we need to live a meaningful life, and what really we need to work in coexistence with others, but also not only with people, but also with animals, with nature, with all the elements of the planet. And then there is a beautiful inspiration for me in Zen Buddhist aesthetics, the tea ceremony. if you can see at the back, I have some tea ceremony tools. I studied tea ceremony for 2 years in Kyoto, and I find architecture of the tea house very inspirational. How in a small space you can create a feeling of spaciousness. The architect, this is the skill of the architect to try to create beautiful spaces in small scale and using natural materials space is not always related to size and expensive materials. So when I look in Tokyo, in Kyoto, I found a lot of inspirations how people can design in this considerate way about the planet and the perception, and how they integrate greenery in small spaces, beautiful natural materials, and with minimalist means, as Sen Norikyo said, to find richness in poverty and beauty in simplicity. I think this idea is quite powerful for contemporary architecture and in our age of global environmental crisis. Then another inspiration, Uwatsuji Tetsuro Fudo, how climate influenced culture, and how this influence is quite basic for the architectural identity. And another scholar, Augustin Berg, who was writing about Fudo as a relationship between society and environment, which we can see in traditional architecture. I was also very inspired by an American architect whose name is Samuel Mockbee. There is a beautiful film called Citizen Architect. So he's talking about the social responsibility of the architects, and he gathered his students, and they went to some poor communities, impoverished communities, and tried to design and build projects in collaboration with them. So this was also one of the ideas. I was curious, and a very big inspiration for me was the work of Johannes Palasma. This is a Finnish architect from Finland. He's a Pritzker Prize jury member, and he has written many books about architectural phenomenology, about the place, the atmosphere, the things, how we perceive beauty, how many things the designer should consider. And I managed to invite him to do a course in Bulgaria, and the students did some small bench with one of his quotation from his book. So Johannes Palasma defines 6 themes which will be important for architects in the next millennium, in this millennium actually. And he talks about slowness, plasticity, sensuousness, authenticity, idealization, and silence, the 6 keywords. So I want to illustrate these 6 keywords by a project from a Japanese architect, Maki Fumihiko, and I was lucky to know him, and he came a few times to Bulgaria. So slowness, this is an example of Maki's building in US, in the University of Pennsylvania. He designed a research center, and the idea is that opposite to mass production, mass building, architecture should develop in a slow speed, considering materials, considering local craft, considering culture on the place. Plasticity refers to the scale of architecture, which should connect with the language of the body. So Palasma is talking about how important it is to design the handle of the door, the things of the windows which you touch to create beautiful space. The other, sensuousness, it's embodied images of an authentic life. So the architecture should aim to embody some ideal images, how life should be, always in every context. Even if you design for the poorest, you need to think about what does it mean, authentic life, and to dwell with dignity. Maybe this is one of the definitions of authenticity. And again, this is applicable disregarding hierarchy or social level. Another idea which is important, idealization. When you design a big scale building or a small scale building, again, you need to have an idea about ideal view of life, what the people will, how the people can live with nature, with space, enjoying the space, creating architecture as a background of activities in human life. And finally, silence. This is very Japanese as well, to feel a sense of melancholy and a yearning for an absent ideal. For me, this is very related to wabi and sabi, Zen Buddhist concept of the tea ceremony. And this is Maki project in New York for the high-rise building after the collapse, and he tried to remember the idea of the architect of the destroyed building, but also he wanted to capture the environment around the building. So his building is not saying I'm the best, I'm the highest, I'm the most, but it's much more subtle relationship. It reflects the relationship with the surrounding context in New York. And I would like to show you now what we did with students in Bulgaria. We went to these villages we found the first thing, we found abandoned churches. So we decided what we can do as an architect is to record them. And we did a lot of recording, drawing of the churches to have an archive of this tradition. Then there was an abandoned mill, a very interesting history of this is a mill building which was moved from one village to the next. It was a water mill, but the stone which is used is very unique in the area. It is taken from caves and it is 1,000 years old. So this stone is very precious. And two brothers from another village, they bought the mill building. The carpenter dismantled it, then built it again, and they use it with electricity for food for the animals. And we found this building empty again, and we thought let's do something about this building. Again, the first thing was to record it. We also record a couple of houses, and then we started to, after recording, we decided to try some restoration and to help people learn about working with wood, with a clay, traditional way of doing plaster. And also we had some small design and build projects where we collaborate with Taiwanese students. So you can see some kanji on the pergola. We had some art projects in abandoned houses. Also we had adaptive reuse project, how to make use of a former fire station building. Of course, this work is not possible only by students and us. We receive a large-scale collaboration with local municipality, with local association, the Vetaki Plateau Association. We had a very good contact with a UK Preservation Trust. So a big network to be able to execute this project. And finally, this is exhibition in the National Gallery, where we talk about depopulation, loss of cultural values, how in 2 generations, things become garbage, wasted, become waste. And there was quite a big impact of this exhibition in many newspapers, and I think we had some impact about people noticing this. There was also some children activities in the exhibition space. And so to show you some small scale project, this is design and build project of meandering wall in the village, where students design it, and students built it with the support of local craftsmen, stonemasons. And then the mill, finally, this is on the left side, is the work of the students. We started with the roof, and after that, the Vetaki Plateau Association ensured funding, and this is the mill now. So with these collaborative efforts, where people can combine the energy and the efforts, finally, now the MIU is a local business education hub. And the design of the MIU was made by two of our students. Two of our students decided to buy houses in this village and to live and work from there. And they were the architects of the renovation. And now the MIU is open. So I think this type of activities where students learn to research, to think, to draw, to be aware of the materials and what each material can do. I think they're very important for architectural education. And I think it's beneficial for both the students, for the academy, and also for the local community. So that was, maybe I have some time for how long time do I have more?
You finish your presentation now.
Yes, I can say, if I have time, I can say a little bit about the architectural program.
Yeah, we have 1 hour today. So yeah, if you have something to talk about more about architecture, it's fine.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, let me say, are the candidates interested in the bachelor or the master programs?
So,
or should I explain about both?
Yeah, so today, yeah, actually about half of them are aiming for undergraduate, and then rest of them are aiming for postgraduate. So yeah, if you could talk about general information, that would be great.
Okay, okay. So yeah, we offer in the University of Portsmouth, we offer a bachelor program of architecture and a master program of architecture. We offer also interior design, again, bachelor program of interior design and master program of interior design. We also have MA, Master of Arts in Conservation Architecture. So I'm teaching with a colleague from Syria. We are teaching Conservation Architecture program, which is a 1-year program if it's a full-time and 2 years if it's a part-time. Also, we have MA in Landscape Architecture, and we have MA in Interior Design. So we offer quite a big bunch of programs related to design and architecture. So the bachelor program is 3 years. After the second year, there is 1-year placement, which means after you study 2 years, you go to work for 1 year, and then you come back to study for 1 more year. And the other good thing of the bachelor program is that you can go to study abroad during your study in Portsmouth. We have links with universities in Singapore, in Brazil, in Europe, in quite a lot of places. So you can study here for 1.5 years and then go for half a year in one of these destinations, depending on your subject area. The program is basically, this bachelor program is focused on history and theory of architecture. You will have lectures on that. Then technology. You will have a project and understanding about how structure, how detailing, how materials work in the building. Then you have design studio projects, designing, you start with a small scale, a pavilion, small center, small building, and then you slowly enlarge the scale of the design. And these design studios, every week, one whole day, you work in the university with your colleagues, with your tutors. We require a lot of physical models, and there is a very good facility workshop at the university. You can use machines for laser cutting, for digital prototyping, for we have a concrete to make concrete. So the physical making of models, it's quite important for architecture, and the university offers very, very good workshop for that. And then the last important aspect is representation and communication. Here you learn about the different software which architects use, and you need to learn them, to master them. And in the design studio, you apply these digital skills models. So it's a combination of theory and practice. It's a lot of working with models, working in the studio using models. And the other good thing is the staff. We have a very interesting staff from many different countries. So you can, many of the staff have lived in different places in the globe. So we will have the opportunity to see teachers from Latin America, from Africa, from Europe. Of course, there are very good English teachers and tutors. So it's it's quite fulfilling and diversified student experience. We also integrate a lot of live projects, working with local businesses, with local architectural companies. Now we have a project office, which is an entity within the School of Architecture, and this entity enables you to be involved in real projects. So now there is a project called Living Streets. Students, there was a competition where students designed some street furniture in Portsmouth streets, and now with the help of local businesses and local craftsmen, they're going to make those things and put them in place. So if you are interested in practical design and make projects, there is plenty of opportunities for that. For the master, so the bachelor, it's 3 years, 1 year placement or study abroad. After the second year, you can spend 1 year study abroad, not you choose either study abroad or work. So this is an interesting possibility. And then for the master level, it's 2 years, and it is you can choose for the master the design studio which are you going to select. It's your choice. So the staff, the teachers propose different topics for design studios, and you choose the topic which you are more interested in, and you work from the urban planning perspective, starting with the urban planning, starting with understanding the urban issues, building strategy, urban strategy, then selecting a building and designing a building which is related to the urban strategy. The good thing in the master level is that you have tutorials with engineers. You have structural engineers who come and help you develop the structural and detail part of the technical drawings. And you have environmental engineers who will teach you about alternative way of heating the building, cooling, all the systems, the building systems, and how to be aware of the latest trends. All these engineers are practitioners, so you will be able to learn about the latest use in the profession. In master level, you can do a study abroad as well for one semester, and we have also a lot of guest lecturers. Actually, the students, there is an organization called PAS, and the students are organizing invitation of interesting architects from the UK, and they invite them to give lectures. So you have really good professionals which come to share their knowledge, their approach to design, their experiences, and you can have direct contact with them. Many times from this type of contacts, student finds practice possibilities, internships, and so on. There are also fairs where you can go and present yourself and show your portfolio and receive some feedback about your skills and what do you need to work more, or what kind of options you have at the moment. So in general, it's the study of architecture is quite intensive, but Portsmouth School of Architecture has has developed a very good educational approach, which during the years has proved to be very strong, and we are proud that our students can find employment very soon after graduating from the school. So this shows the this is proof of the quality of education. So, yeah, maybe we can go to the questions.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation today. Actually, I received one question from a student. I'm going to read out the question, so could you answer the question? So I'm going to read out. Could Japanese obtain a qualification of river in place of utilizing the graduation from Japanese university majored architecture course? So in terms of this, do we need to enroll another university which belongs to river at first year? Does it make sense? Or shall I send this question to your chat box?
Can you write it in the box? Yes, I want to read it.
Yes.
If you enroll at the University of Portsmouth, and if you graduate in bachelor or master level, you have RIBA qualification. You receive it because our architectural course is accredited by RIBA, and every 5 years, I think, RIBA comes and reviews the course and gives accreditation. So if you graduate in bachelor, you will have part 1, RIBA part 1 education, then master level is part 2, and then there is a possibility to do part 3. Maybe, yeah, Martin can say more if this is the right answer of the question.
Yeah, I think that's right. If you join in first year at the University of Portsmouth, you'll be taken through the Royal Institute of British Architects route to qualification as an architect, just like I did. So that involves periods of study at the University of Portsmouth, but then also periods of practical training within practice. So the minimum period on the traditional course would be 7 years to qualification as a fully qualified architect. However, you don't have to do that route. You can do the degree and then go on and do something else.
Thank you very much for your answer. Okay. So actually, I have another question. So I'm gonna read out and then also send it to your chat box. So what University of Portsmouth must obtain the main way or concepts of thinking architecture design process or outcomes? I'm gonna also send it to your chat box.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, every project we develop has one of the learning outcomes, one of the evaluation of the project includes the process of work. So we are not focused about the outcome because we know this is a learning process. So what we really focus is for you to record the way you develop and to show how a design project, what kind of ideas you went through and how did you select the final idea. So the process of design is very important, and we want you to be able to generate different ideas, to model them, to sketch them, and then to be able to select the best in terms of fitting to the context, fitting to the program, aesthetical outcome. So it's a lot about process. And maybe Martin can say about the first year.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
the first year is very important for our students, whether that's the first year in undergraduate or the first year of masters. We encourage within those initial years a development of sketching, hand sketching, manual sketching in sketchbooks and within large sheets of paper, alongside prototyping and model making of the sketch idea, so that you're able to understand the building, the process of design in 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions in a sketchbook, and then physical 3 dimensions as well of modeling. And as you progress through the school, whether that's undergraduate or postgraduate, your skill sets and what you learn in the different modules, in the different units, are developed. So you become more technically proficient, your skills become stronger. There's more emphasis as you progress through the school on learning to sketch by hand and combining that with the use of software, whether that's the Adobe Suite package or whether that's computer-aided design or CAD. So you end up coming, by the time you finish your studies at undergraduate and postgraduate, you're able to use a hybrid method of sketching and working on the computer. So we do develop you to become worthwhile novice architects in practice.
Thank you very much for your answer. はい。他に何かご質問がある方いらっしゃいますでしょうか。あと3分ほどお時間ありますけれども、もし何かありましたら、チャットボックスの方にご質問をお願いいたします。はい、ございますでしょうか。
May I add one thing to Milena's presentation, please? So in addition to the Master of Architecture course that Milena mentioned, and also Milena mentioned the conservation course as well, which is a 1-year MA full-time. We also offer January starts for our master's courses, our MA courses, which goes very well with our September starts as well. And we have a suite, we have a portfolio of MA architecture courses, and the architecture is within the title of the MA course, in conservation, which Milena spoke about, interior architecture and design, sustainable design, but also landscape, which is going to be one of the new MA architecture courses. So if you are interested in studying at the University of Portsmouth, maybe starting in a January, then we offer that as well as the traditional September start date as well.
Thank you very much for your information. Thank you. はい、そうですね。では今日ですね、他にご質問もないようですので、ちょうどお時間も1時間、経ちますので、本日のですね、プレゼンテーション、ウェビナーは、終了させていただきたいと思います。もしですね、ポーツマス大学について、何か他にご質問とかありましたら、私の方、SIUK の方にですね、ご連絡いただきましたら、SIUK の方から大学の方にお問い合わせをして、でまたおつなぎさせていただくということも可能ですし、またSIUK の方で無料のカウンセリングもさせていただいておりますので、今後ですね、留学のプランを立てていきたいとか、ポートフォリオのこととか、いろいろご質問とかありましたら、ぜひですね、カウンセリングの方にお申し込みいただけたらと思います。はい。それではですね、本日は皆さん、ご参加いただきましてありがとうございました。Milena and Martin-san, thank you very much for your presentation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Sayonara.